Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's nice of you to drop by. It is Monday, the 12th of August. The days are clicking by pretty quickly. We are talking about journal entry number 137, and that means it's T plus 132, transplant plus 132 days. Something came up in conversation the other day, and it's come up in conversation before, and I think we may have talked about it in the past, but I'd like to bring it up again for your consideration, and perhaps to help me understand it better, and that is expectations in general, how important they are, and perhaps how debilitating they can be, depending. And you almost have to break down this concept of expectations into two categories. It seems like they always fall into two categories. If there are more, then let me know. But I think that you'll find that they're probably subcategories of the first two. One of the categories is the expectations that others have for you or of you. And I'm fairly familiar with those. It took me a long time to recognize just how critically important managing those expectations, the expectations of others, were or could be in managing a successful business, especially a successful service business. They're critically important in that. And the fact of the matter is, if you don't manage those expectations, the expectations of others, then either someone else will manage them for you, or the person you're dealing with will choose to manage them for you. And at that point, a lot of the really critically important decision making gets taken out of your hands. The other kind of expectations that we might discuss are the expectations you have of yourself. I mean, what you expect from yourself, what you think you can or should or would or could or will accomplish, and how important it is to keep those expectations realistic, and how important it is to manage them intelligently, because the danger, of course, is that you will not live up to those expectations. You won't be able to achieve whatever it is you set out to achieve, whatever it is you expect from yourself. And I guess the more you demand, the more you demand of yourself, the more you're likely to meet or exceed those expectations. But it's an important point, I think, especially if you put it in the context of illness and treatment and recovery and your relationship with your trusted medical team. I'm very, very fortunate in more ways than once. I mean, I'm fortunate just to be here, but I'm very fortunate in that the expectations I had of the medical professionals I trusted with my care have never been disappointing. They've always, the team and the doctors have always managed somehow to exceed expectations. And part of that, I have to believe, is the fact that they managed both their own expectations and the expectations I had for them, of them, very, very carefully. And I know of other people where this is not the case, where this has not happened. So again, I recognize how fortunate I am that I had medical professionals that were so sensitive and caring and empathetic that they recognized where their patients might be coming from, and what they had to do to help mitigate whatever kind of anxiety and fear might be crawling around in the dark recesses of their minds. My initial oncologist at UCLA, the one out here in Westlake, one of my favorite human beings on the planet, one of the finest people I think I know, was always very careful in what he told me, and recognizing that it would have an impact on what my beliefs were and what expectations I would set for myself. Certainly my team at City of Hope has been no less forthright and very, very sensitive, not only to my expectations, but to managing Leslie's as well. And I think that's critically important. I think they realize that expectations left unmanaged can be difficult and dangerous and really almost impossible to correct once they've gone off in the wrong directions. So I think this whole issue of expectations is really important, especially when it comes to the expectations you set for yourself, which are often based on the expectations of others, right? What they articulate as far as what they anticipate you will do, what they expect from you, especially in the healing process, especially in treatment and recovery. Transparency is a big deal in treatment and recovery, and the doctor being open and honest with you, and you being open and honest with the doctor, and not holding anything back, not hiding anything. That way both of you can develop reasonable expectations for how things are going to go, based upon whatever course of treatment is prescribed for you. So, and I think the same holds true in life in general, don't you? I mean, I've always expected a great deal from myself. I've always put myself in positions, I think I've always put myself in positions where I've been forced to do the very best I could, to give the very most I was capable of in order to meet my own high expectations of performance, whether it was as a business owner in regard to taking care of my people, or taking care of our clients, whether it was as a trade journalist in the automotive industry, the responsibility of relating my truth to tens of thousands of readers, over 100,000 readers, for many, many years. And I think it was also important as in running a successful business to set those expectations for others, what you expect from your help, what you expect from your customers, believe it or not. And you can do that, and there's a certain level of transparency as well. And how that all comes together into a successful life, in managing a successful life. So this issue of expectations is important, and it should be taken seriously by everyone. And it should be approached with the awareness that it is not just what you expect from others that's important. It's also what you expect from yourself and what you're willing to sacrifice in order in order to accomplish that, in order to achieve it. You know, the other day we were talking about the fact that it's important to say what you're going to do and do what you're going to, do what you say you're going to do, and if that doesn't meet or exceed the expectations of others, that you're clear and open and transparent and honest about it, so the expectations remain manageable. Regardless of what your challenges are, whether they're medical or whether they're financial or whether they're business related or whether they're have to do with personal relationships, it's important, as far as I can tell, to manage those expectations intelligently, and to manage your own expectations, what you expect from others, intelligently as well. Otherwise, you're going to face a life of disappointment. Those of you who knew my dad, who knew Jerry, generally were amazed to find out that he really didn't expect. I mean, he truly, I worked with him for 38 years, and I know this to be true, did not expect anything from anyone. And it was purposeful. He did that on purpose. He did that so he wouldn't be disappointed when somebody didn't meet or exceed those expectations. And I don't know that that's not a bad way to be. I think if you couple that with high expectations of yourself, then you should have a rich and fulfilling life. And I think that's what we're all looking for, isn't it? I mean, isn't that what we were all striving to accomplish? Kind of hope so. In the meantime, think about that. Be interested to hear what you have to say. Stay well, take care, and I'll sign in and talk to you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.